Today I'm going to be talking about my Focus 5. So I'm going to just go through what I talk about with Focus 5 and its importance to you. And if it's not important, then don't watch this. But I'm going to be talking about the 5 pillars of Focus 5. I'm not going to write anything down. This is not anything scripted. It's just me talking to you about what I do. So Focus 5 is something that I put together after many years of just kind of thinking about what I want to do. I've done a lot of these individually, but these things I focus on. So the first thing I focus on is memory improvement. Now, memory improvement is not about just doing tricks. Like I put out a video and I had a number that I memorized and it's in my head and it's like, okay, so the number is 9701 6784 9246 5341 and 3679. So I've got that. I can say it backwards if I want, but it doesn't make a difference. It's just a number. Who cares? But it's about how to remember things. So, for example, do you know that if you learn something in 24 hours, half of what you learned is gone? Okay? And in 2 days, 80% of that is gone. And a week later, it's like you never even heard it. So you have to learn how to learn. When you study, you have to understand that you don't want to be studying for hours on end because after a while, you start to get diminishing returns. So you should study for 20 minutes and take a 5-minute break. Okay. Reviewing something over and over again doesn't help your brain. So if you read something once and you read it again, it's like you read it only one time. You need to analyze what you're reading so you understand that as you're learning it, you start to have connectivity and understanding as you're going through. So this one I'll talk about. This is in my program. My program is about how to memorize things that you want for yourself. And I do tricks like I have a magazine that I work with, and then I say, okay, I hand the magazine out to the crowd and I say, turn to the page, and I'll tell you what's on page 5, and on page 10, 38, whatever. Okay? Or I say, oh, there's a picture of Beyonce on page 39. Whatever. I just show it's like a parlor trick. But what that does, it helps you to memorize your notes. Imagine if you were driving and all your notes from school are in your head, or you're laying in bed and all your notes from school are in your head. So then when you're taking a test, all you gotta do is just go to those file folders that you created, and you can just plug in the answers that are in there. So you end up with, not only do you pass the test, but you have stuff that you can actually go back to later on. Okay, it's not just taking a test. It's actually taking the test and then being able to use the information later on. So that's what the memory part is. That's Focus 5, memory. The next part is math. Okay, math is not just about adding and subtracting. It's about math concepts. Okay, how do you save money? Did you know that by adding an extra amount of money to your mortgage, you can reduce the years? Whenever you pay anything off on time, what you're doing is you're actually paying for the thing plus the interest, and they take the interest first. Like, for example, if you have a car payment, you might be paying $600 a month for your car, but $300 a month goes to the interest, and only $300 goes to the payment. So therefore, they're making sure they get theirs first. So by you throwing on an extra $20, $50, you say, apply that to the principal, it brings the amount down. And that's important. So looking for math concepts is important. So what I teach is to tell you that math concepts are important. It's not just about how to do mental math. Okay, it's about how to use math in a way that makes sense to you. You can kind of see processes that are mathematical. But even things like, for example, I asked somebody, said, if you play the lottery every day and if you spend $5 a day, okay, and how many times could you possibly win the lottery? Like the daily lottery in a year, and they say, well, maybe once, you might win $500. Okay, so you spend $5 a day, and every now and then, boom, you get $500 as a as a as a prize. Okay, well, that's not very smart. It really isn't, because you still lost $1,325. Okay, so what I'm saying is, if you would just put aside $5 a day, you end up with $1,825. So would it hurt for you to just put $5 a day away somewhere? No, but you want to gamble. I guarantee you that if I put $5 a day every day, $5 away every day, at the end of the year, I can guarantee you I'm going to have $1,825. Okay, that's not gambling. That's just using math. And you can find the $5 by saving it, by like making sure you like, when you go to the store and you use your credit card or your debit card, and it says, do you want cash back? And you could say yes. Give me $10. Okay, so you put that away. It's about doing things properly, using mathematical concepts. That's what it's all about. Okay. Again, you can watch videos, talk to people about things that'll titillate and make, oh wow, it's so great. This guy showed me something. But how about something you need for your life? You utilize the mathematical concept for yourself. So that's what Focus 5 is for the math. That and a lot more things. The next is language acquisition. Okay. Now I'm asking you a question. People, they practice languages. Like I learned French when I lived in Quebec. I've been studying Chinese for over 10 years. And I am not where I need to be with any one of those languages, but I'm better than most. Okay, self-taught. I find my own way. So what I'm saying is, there are better ways of learning language. So, for example, if I were to teach you something in French, okay, like I was doing something the other day with a group of people, and so I'll just tell you how it works. When I lived in Quebec, you had to learn to speak French when you worked in a store. Like most kids worked at McDonald's, and so you go to McDonald's, you have to learn to greet the person in French. So you would say, "Oh, can I help you?" And then you take it from there. So guys say, "Okay, you can do this. Can you say this? Can you say, est-ce que je peux vous aider?" I mean, can I help you in French? I can't say that. So what I should have done was I should have gone back and studied how to say, "Can I help you?" Because when you go to a French class, what they do, they teach you how to say things like, "Je m'appelle Jean." My name is John. That's nice. Or un, deux, trois, quatre, cinq, how to count. But how to say things. So, est-ce que je peux vous aider? Est-ce que je peux vous aider? Is it that I can help you? Est-ce que je peux vous aider? You just look at that. You say it over and over again. Est-ce que je peux vous aider? Est-ce que je peux vous aider? You practice it. You say it. You get your mouth comfortable, and you speak it. Now, this is going to be a good thing for you to do when it comes to language. Pick a spot, a place in your house, a room, a place. This is your French place, and you're in there. There's a mirror. There's things around, and you practice one thing at a time. So, I'm going to give you that sentence. Can I help you? Est-ce que je peux vous aider? So now I say it. Est-ce que je peux vous aider? You say it slowly. Est-ce que je peux vous aider? Say it's a question. Est-ce que je peux vous aider? Or you say, est-ce que je peux vous aider? You say it when you're mad, you're happy, you're sad. You say it over and over and over again for 5 minutes. Now you feel comfortable. You're in your French space, French mindset, and your French sentence. So you got that. Okay? The next day you come in with another phrase. But you got the first one locked. Remember, someone taught me just a sentence in Polish, okay, over 40 years ago. I never forgot it. Jak się masz? It's like, how are you in Polish? I never forgot. I never studied Polish. Again, he just taught me that one sentence, but I got it. So the point is, if you want to learn a language, you want to take one thing at a time, and you focus on it. So you're in your French space, French mindset. You become this French character, and you say this French thing. Est-ce que je peux vous aider? I imagine I'm at McDonald's. Oh, monsieur, est-ce que je peux vous aider? Or I hear it. I say, oh, I like a hamburger. So the point is, you become engrossed in that thing. It becomes a real thing. And so therefore, when you want to speak French, you've already lived it. You become immersed in the atmosphere of French. That's what it's all about. So it's not about going through a textbook and being tested and going through all these long things. No, it's not. And when it comes to Chinese, again, I have one thing that I practice. I mean, I read a lot of Chinese. I watch podcasts. I have conversations. But I know that there's one thing that I like to focus on, these 9 dialogues that I've memorized, and I can look at and break them down. It's like being in a bubble. Okay? It's like when you go out into the rain, you put up an umbrella, and so you're protected. You don't change the environment, but you change how it affects you. So in the Chinese, I always have these sentences, and my favorite one is about coffee. And so it's like, 我最近看了一篇文章，说喝咖啡对身体好. So I recently read an article that said that drinking coffee is bad for you. Okay, and I just go through the whole thing. So 我非常喜欢喝咖啡，每天都要喝3次杯. I love coffee, and I can drink 3 or 4 cups a day. 所以看到这篇文章，我很不高兴. So reading the first article, I was very unhappy. Okay, so you go through this, and it's amazing. It's like if I meet somebody and I hear they're speaking Chinese, and they say, oh, I say, oh, I can say something in Chinese. They expect me to say, oh, ni hao. I go, oh, 我最近看了一篇文章，说喝咖啡对身体好. And I do the entire thing. Remember, this one lady, she heard me say this. She said, wow, she said, I've never met anyone in America who spoke Chinese as well as you do. You should go on a tour. You should go around the world. And she gave me all these things I should do because I can say this in Chinese. It's like, yeah, maybe I should. Because if you have the confidence to say this one thing or this long story, and I got many of these stories, but I can also speak. I can talk about myself because these are real words. This is the real thing. That's real language. That's what it's all about. So focus on something that you can do. It's simple. It's like when you learn to speak any language, they're going to give you what is called words of frequency. So you use these words. The next thing is talking about leadership. Now, I call myself a Christian. I believe in the Christian religion, and I teach things about that. But the point is, it's like there is a way that you arrive at religion that makes you better. It's not as someone who feels you have to become someone who you're not. Like when I teach, I call myself Brother John. I'm not Pastor John, Reverend John, or whatever. I'm just a guy. I'm your brother. Okay? And I don't memorize Bible, phrases in Scripture. I study them. I understand what they are, so I can actually use them in my life. So if I look at my body and I say, okay, well, why should I eat healthy? Because the Bible says your body is a temple. Okay? We also know that you're not defiled by what goes into you, but what comes out. So I don't tend to use profanity when I speak. Okay. So there are a lot of concepts you get by reading the Bible, reading what the Scripture talks about. When it talks about in I believe it's in Proverbs, a person who stands who stands in who doesn't stand in the way, or walk in a certain way, or sit in a certain way. I understand that. I understand the concept. So when it comes to people trying to bring you down, if you stand with someone who's 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 going to bring you down, you just stand with them. Then at some point you're gonna start walking with them, and then you sit with them, and they got you. So I know through learning scripture that you don't allow someone to take your attention because they're going to bring you down to where they are. You avoid it. You avoid it. You can't walk into a bar if you're someone who is tempted by alcohol. Okay? You can't enter into a website that is pornography. You can't enter into a discussion about things that you know are it's not going to go the right way. It's going to be an argument. You just avoid it. You avoid it. The Bible tells me. But leadership is about looking at people who have been successful and then doing what they do. Now, one of my great examples is Colonel Sanders. Now, when I was a kid, I used to love Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's okay now. Maybe because I'm older, my palate has changed. But the idea that Colonel Sanders, who is going to be the age I'm going to be next year, is 65, started to go out to the world and try to change it by bringing what he had. The one thing he had was chicken. He didn't have a degree in physics, or he couldn't ascertain great truths, great wisdom. No, he brought chicken. That's what his thing was. Hey, I got chicken. And so he went out with the idea of, oh, man, it's going to be great. I'm going to go out there, share my chicken recipe. People are going to love it. Take one bite and say, finger looking good. Well, it took him 1,000 attempts before he finally found somebody. And again, he was a guy in the 60s. He wanted to do something. He didn't want to waste time. So he brought it out there. And have you had Kentucky Fried Chicken in your life? Sure. Do you know where one is? KFC? Yes. Because he didn't give up. He didn't give in. He gave out to the world something that he had, and it changed the world. It changed the world. And when you see like Popeye's Chicken and Church's Chicken or all these other chicken franchise, it's because, hey, if Colonel Sanders can do it with KFC, then I can do the same thing. He allowed people, he showed a way to do something. So that's his leadership. So what do we learn from Colonel Sanders? We learned that you have an idea. It's one thing to focus on. If you feel that it's right, you don't give in. You could say, well, you know what? I spoke to 500 people about my chicken and nobody wanted it. Let me maybe do ribs. People like ribs. No, his thing was chicken. Okay? He didn't stop until he was successful. And you see the same thing with Tyler Perry. He had one thing that he did. He did these plays. It took him 7 years. Now he's a billionaire because he didn't give up. He kept giving out. That's what his thing was. So leadership shows clues. And you don't got to like the person. Again, I don't necessarily like fried foods. Sometimes people don't like meat, you know. But it's just the attitude of Colonel Sanders was someone who did it right. He showed leadership. And then the last part is personal safety. Now, I did martial arts for many years, and I taught martial arts, and I still practice, you know, on my own concepts. But I'm not gonna lie to you. At 64, the body's just not the same. You know, I can still do the splits. I can still stretch, but I pay for it the next day. So I don't want to hurt myself. But I still have the mindset, the mindset of martial arts. It's about safety. But safety isn't just about kicking someone's butt. It's about not getting your own butt kicked by doing the right thing now, so you can look back and say, yeah, that was good. And I mean, again, I'm not great, but people have a hard time understanding, believing that I'm 64. Okay, because I don't come out I don't show as being someone who's old. Okay, I got gray in my beard and everything, but it's like my voice still sounds strong. My body is still good because I still move and I still do things. It's not about how long you live. It's about how much life you get in the time that you're given. There are a lot of people who I know, like Bruce Lee, for example. He hit his stride in his early 30s, and he was on the way to become a really rich, successful movie star in a world where there were no Asians who were at top of the marquee in the United States. He became the first, and had he lived, he would have been really successful in himself. He wanted to have $10 million by 1980. He would have probably had that by probably 74. But is he forgotten? Is his influence not being felt every day? No, no. Every day people talk about Bruce Lee. So he built something in those 32 years of life that continues to feed people who are still here. That's what it's all about. So I've lived twice that. I'm 64. What have I done? I've done a lot because I've done things in my past and I'm doing things now. So it's about not getting your butt kicked in your mind saying, I wasted 64 years, or I wasted 32 years, or I wasted whatever. Now, you may be like 30 years old, you might be 20 years old. And in your mind, you think, okay, 20, so I still got, 80 years left of life. Okay? Or if you're 30, I got 70 more years. Okay, I got. But you know what? If you live to be 100, what are you going to do at 100? Think about it. What do you want to do that you want to do at 100? So you're 100 years old, and now you want to go and go to the beaches of the world, or you want to go off to Europe, or you want to go and fly a plane at 100? No. You want to do it 5 years ago, but you didn't, so you want to do it now. Anything you want to do, you want to do it now, because you definitely wanted to do it before. You can't now do it now. Okay. Someone told me it takes a half hour to learn how to juggle. Okay. So take a half hour to learn how to juggle. It takes 6 weeks to learn a second language. Okay. So it takes 6 weeks. Prove it right or prove it wrong. But you'll never get it done if you don't start. And then there is a component of self-defense when it comes to, defending yourself. And that's all part of the Focus 5 program. But the main thing is do the right thing so you don't end up regretting it. That's personal safety, not regretting it. There's an acronym that we use in Focus 5 for personal safety. It's called ACT, A-C-T. And the A is for attitude. What is your attitude? C is your commitment. You hold the commitment. Okay? And then T is the technique. What do you use? Again, that could be in martial arts, that could be in language, that could be in driving, that could be in relationships, whatever. What is your attitude? What is your level of commitment? And what is your technique that you use to make sure that you do this right? That's what it's all about. So that's what I got to say about that. Today is Sunday, and it's a good day. And I'm going to go to church today, have some fun, do a little shopping, do some stuff. But I want to really I'm going to do a lot more of these talks. And it doesn't matter if 2 people watch this or 5, it doesn't make a difference. It really doesn't make a difference. Trust me, I'm not about numbers, okay? I remember thinking to myself, if I went to one of these mega churches and there's like thousands of people, what's the chance of me going up to the preacher and talking to him? Zero. Because there's so much into that the amount of people that they gotta have bodyguards. You can't go near them. You can't talk to them. I don't want that. Classes I have can be as many as 10, sometimes 2, 3. I love it because I deal with the individual. I don't want to be viral in the world where Some people are focusing on me that it becomes about me. It's about you. It's not about me. Never is. It's never about me. It's about you. So if I show you something and you get it and then you help your family, you help yourself, that's all I care about. You can forget I even exist as long as you're doing something that's going to help you. So, happy Sunday or whenever you're watching this. Coach Morrison, Focus 5. Have a great day. And I'm going to figure out how to turn this thing on. Take care.